We've all been there, right? You get the new PS5, the new 4K streamer, you plug it into that really nice, expensive home theater receiver you bought a few years back,
Right.
and just nothing.
Yeah. The black screen of death.
Exactly. Maybe you get an error message if you're lucky, but usually it's just black. And it's so frustrating because all the parts are working.
They are. And that's the thing. It's not really a hardware failure, at least not in the way we think of it. It's more like a failure of digital bureaucracy. We're talking about the HDMI handshake.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because for me, when I plug a cable in, I just expect it to work. I don't expect my TV and my Apple TV to have like a secret conversation behind my back.
Well, they do. And that conversation is called HDCP. It's high bandwidth digital content protection. Before any video is sent, your source device basically asks your TV for a secret password to make sure you're not trying to pirate the movie.
Which is, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? The only people this ever seems to affect are the ones who actually paid for everything.
That's the main criticism, absolutely. Professional pirates can strip HDCP in seconds, but the person at home, the legitimate user, gets stuck because their brand new HDCP 2.2 source can't talk to their older HDCP 1.4 receiver.
And that's a point that I think trips a lot of people up. I always just assumed that if my receiver said HDMI 2.0, I was good to go for 4K.
It's a really common trap. HDMI 2.0 is just the size of the pipe. It has the bandwidth for 4K, but HDCP 2.2 is the language spoken through that pipe. So you can have a perfectly good 4K capable receiver that just doesn't speak the new encryption language. The handshake fails, and the source just gives up.
So before we start talking about spending money, are there any free fixes? I've heard stuff about cables and rebooting things in a certain order.
Oh, definitely start there. First is what I call the cable trap. You really do need cables that are certified premium high speed. They need to handle 18 gigabits per second. That old cable from your junk drawer might be fine for 1080p, but it will absolutely cause a 4K handshake to fail.
And keep them short, right?
Yes. Keep them under 15 feet if you can. Signal degradation is a real thing.
What about that power on sequence? It sounds a little like voodoo to me.
It does, but it can work. You're forcing everything to renegotiate, so turn everything off, unplug it from the wall, even, then plug in and turn on the TV first, give it a moment, then the receiver, wait again, and finally the source device, like your PS5.
You're basically forcing the chain to recognize the display's credentials first.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I've done the voodoo, I bought new cables, and I'm still getting nothing because my receiver is from, say, 2014. Do I have to go out and buy a whole new one?
Not necessarily. This is where you might need a little mediator. A translator. There's a category of devices for this, and a really solid example we looked at is the Wolfpack converter from a company called HDTV Supply.
And this isn't just a simple HDMI splitter or something?
No, it's an active device. It's smart. It sits between your source and your receiver. It basically lies to your new 4K source.
Yeah.
It says, hey, don't worry, I speak HDCP 2.2, so the source sends the full 4K signal. Then the box takes that signal, strips out the new 2.2 encryption, and repackages it with the older HDCP 1.4 encryption that your receiver can understand.
But does it mess with the picture? I mean, if it just drops the resolution to 1080p, then what's the point?
That's the magic. It downgrades the security, not the resolution. It keeps the 4K 60 Hz signal intact. It's just tricking the security protocols into playing nice.
I'm seeing it's about $75, though. For a tiny little box, that feels a little steep. When does that make sense over just upgrading?
Well, think about it. If you have a $2,000 receiver that sounds incredible, but it's just missing this one little video compatibility chip, $75 is a bargain to keep it in your system.
That's a fair point.
Plus, this Wolfpack unit specifically handles HDCP 2.3, which is the next standard that's already rolling out. A lot of the cheaper converters stop at 2.2, so you're buying yourself some future-proofing. It even passes through all the high-end audio formats like Dolby True HD.
So you really don't lose anything. You keep your surround sound, you keep your 4K video. It is just so wild that we need to basically run a man-in-the-middle attack on our own gear to watch a movie we paid for.
It really is. It points to this weird new reality where our hardware isn't failing because it's old or broken, but because the software protocols built into it have been made obsolete.
It makes you wonder, are these little bridge devices going to become a standard part of every tech enthusiast's toolkit just to keep perfectly good equipment from ending up in a landfill?
I think with the speed these standards are changing, that's exactly where we're headed.
Well, maybe this will save someone a headache and a trip to the store this weekend. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.